Morning, everybody. I now call this Housing and Community Development Committee voting meeting to order. Dina, can you please take attendance?
Chair Markosik,
Here.
Rep. Abney,
Designation.
Rep. Bizarro,
Designation.
Rep. Boyd,
Designation.
Rep. Brown,
Designation.
Rep. Cephas,
Designation.
Rep. Green,
Here.
Rep. Krajewski,
Designation.
Rep. Mattson,
Here.
Rep. Mays,
Designation.
Rep. Powell,
Designation.
Rep. Probst,
Here.
Rep. Smith Waddell,
Designation.
Rep. Waxman,
Here.
Chair Irvin,
Here.
Rep. Bashline,
Designation.
Rep. Jones, Rep. Kephart, Rep. McKenzie,
Designation.
Rep. Major, Rep. Rosel, Rep. Rossi,
Designation.
Rep. Schaefer, Rep. Twardzik,
Here.
Rep. Walsh, and Rep. Weeknet.
Thank you, Dina. Our first item, I call up House Bill 2103. Jim, can you please describe the bill?
House Bill 2103 clarifies the definition of bona fide private or fraternal organization in the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act.
Thank you, Jim. We will now go to the sponsor of the bill, Rep. Ben Waxman.
Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate you bringing up the bill. This bill is really to close a loophole which is being used by a group of white nationalists to build whites-only communities. They've built one in Arkansas. They're looking to expand across the country, including here in Pennsylvania. They have specifically identified Pennsylvania as a place that they would like to expand to. They are using the legal argument that they constitute a fraternal organization. They seek to use exemptions for religious and bona fide fraternal organizations in the Fair Housing Act to build these segregated communities based on race. We should be clear, this group is explicitly building a legal framework that we need to disrupt. What my bill does, it does not replace existing protections. It strengthens Pennsylvania's Human Relations Act by explicitly saying that exemptions extended to bona fide private or fraternal organizations and giving preference to members do not apply to organizations that restrict membership based on race, color, national origin, or ancestry for the purpose of denying equal access to housing, employment, or public accommodations. What we are seeing around the country is that extremist groups are testing limits and they're testing exemptions. We must respond proactively here in Pennsylvania to make sure that these kinds of organizations and communities do not take root here in Pennsylvania. I urge a yes vote, and I thank you again for the opportunity to speak on the bill.
Thank you. Any other comments? Chairman Irvin.
Thank you. I think the context surrounding this legislation that the prime sponsor has covered extensively here does elicit some concerns among all of us. I think the groups that are motivated by hate should not be celebrated or empowered to sow any kind of divisions into our society. I think that, we've had some legal opinions concerning this bill, both from the Human Relations Commission and that a organization such as the one that Representative Waxman is pointing out, the Return to the Land, that are having some discriminating practices in the housing, would actually be covered under the Human Relations Act right now. But I do appreciate that this bill is actually narrowed in the language and feel that it would not do any harm to move this forward. So it sort of is a clarification in this, so I'm going to be asking for a yes vote on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have any other comments from members? Seeing none, Mr. Chairman, is it okay if we do a fast roll? Fast roll.
All Republicans will be yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So with that, the Bill passes committee 26-0. Our next item on the agenda is House Bill 2023. Jim, can you please give a brief description of the bill?
House Bill 2023 prohibits evictions during times of extreme weather for enrollees in federal assistance programs.
Rep. Scott?
Good morning. First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for bringing this bill up today. How timely is it, given the environment outside of these four walls in this room? But House Bill 2023 would require a judge to pause the execution of an eviction order on a day-to-day basis during times of extreme weather. The goal of this bill is to add another protection for Pennsylvania's most vulnerable tenants when they're losing their homes, and to prevent an already difficult situation for families from becoming dangerous or even life-threatening. Extreme weather like hurricanes, blizzards, and extreme cold pose a significant threat to the lives of people without shelter. When these weather events take place, local authorities often set up safe spaces for people to seek shelter. Yet right now, there is no law preventing a landlord from evicting a tenant during extreme weather and forcing them and their family to possibly go without shelter. Landlords do have the prerogative to evict tenants for non-payment, and this bill does not seek to change that. Instead, it sets clear and direct guidelines for when an eviction can be paused, for which tenants, and for how long after a weather event concludes. We propose that these pauses be required when 1, the temperature drops below 32 degrees or below, 2, a winter storm or blizzard warning is issued by the National Weather Service, 3, a hurricane, tropical storm, or excessive heat warning is issued by the National Weather Service. This would only apply to evictions of residents who are already enrolled in programs that are designed for the most vulnerable. So LIHEAP, Medicare, Medicaid, if you're on Social Security Disability Insurance, if you're on SNAP, if you're on Supplemental Security Income, or special supplemental nutrition assistance for women, infant, and children. Individuals eligible for these programs are those that are most likely to experience insufficient income and inability to keep up with their rent payments, which is why we specifically catered it just for these particular individuals. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Rep. Scott. Any questions from members? Chairman Irvin.
Just a few comments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Scott. One of the first things I did whenever I saw this bill was I did reach out to my local MDJ just to ask, what the procedures were for evictions, ask if there was any discretion that the MDJs have at this point in time, and he sort of explained it to me as they're a wheel in the cog in the eviction process. And, one of the things that he first thought of was, would this bill have any unintended consequences that a landlord may not want to rent, maybe not say it publicly, but not want to rent to an individual who falls under some of these human service assistance programs that are out there right now, because it would limit the ability for him to evict them for non-payment, as well as just maybe in general reduce the availability of low-income housing altogether. I think another issue that I saw was the 32 degrees. We're looking at, we've been under 32 degrees now for quite a while in Pennsylvania here, and across the state, sometimes the timelines or the amount of days that we're looking at could be anywhere from 70 days a year to 130 days a year that we would be without that. One of maybe an amendment that I was thinking that could be a little bit, make the bill a little better, would be, instead of having it a shall bill, the MDJ shall, maybe make it a may. That would give them more of a discretion moving forward. Another thing that I think would be applicable would be, instead of just having it defined as the different programs that were in this, that you have defined in the bill, but we could also be looking at exempting able-bodied individuals with no dependents whether they're on these programs or not, they shouldn't be getting evicted, or they shouldn't be exempted from the eviction process if they don't have any dependents and they're able to go out and work and get a job. So that was some of the thoughts I had on the bill to begin with. I look forward to moving forward on this bill on the House floor, but at this point in time, we're probably going to be a no vote on this bill.
Great. So thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for your comments. I'm a former MDJ myself. I decided to leave being an MDJ because Chairman Markozik told me this was a better job. My paycheck's a little different every 2 years. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyhow, but I will say this. You bring up a very good point. Housing discrimination is happening. It's real. People are being discriminated against in housing all the time. I'm so excited that you are welcoming and acknowledging this, and maybe we could work together on legislation that will prevent that moving forward and create penalties on that, because I do think that that is a potential unintended consequence. However, in my community, a lot of, I don't have the percentage, but we have a large income of Section 8 housing where there are landlords who refuse to rent to people who have Section 8 vouchers, but that's literally an only segment of a market in certain neighborhoods where they can go. So landlords know that going in, but I do think that I'm trying to make sure I watch my words here carefully, because this isn't an abstract thing. This is very, very real. I do think that we have to put more protections in place to prevent and tackle housing discrimination. The second thing I'll say with respect to the temperature, we're open to that. What we wanted to do is to remove as much of the bias discretion at the ground level for MDJs and constables who are actually out there evicting the folks, and use the National Weather Service, which is, I think, the only, nonpartisan, entity that we have out there. And definitely on the May and Shell, it came up in a conversation we had last week with some of the MDJs that we talked to about this bill. I will say that the difference in our system, the way it currently stands, is once the MDJ issues the order for possession and gives essentially the permission for the landlord and the constable to work out a date for the eviction, it's kind of like in the constable and the landlord's hands, right? So how do we make sure that people don't wait until the last minute to say, hey, by the way, I'm on LIHEAP, right? And so one of the things that we came up with is to make sure that if you're on one of these programs, you have a duty, you have to compel yourself to let the judge and them know prior to the eviction order even being considered, so that people know going in that, hey, this person's on one of these programs. In the event that this order of possession goes through, just know, constable and landlord, that if you schedule it and there's 10 feet of snow outside, you're going to have to push that date back a day or two, right, to get it out. So we've thought about it, and that's the way we've come up with the fix. If you want to talk about more about how we can make that even better, let me know. The issue is, once the MDJ makes a decision that this tenant has to be evicted, it's up to the constable and the landlord to schedule the day. Only thing we're saying is, if you schedule on a day and there's 12 feet of snow outside, you got to push it back 24 hours. But the order for eviction still stands. You're getting out, right? So this isn't a fix. People aren't going to use it if they use it as a crutch, you're only buying yourself a day or two, right? It's just more to make sure that if there's snow on the ground, that you'll be able to get your moving trucks out, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Irvin. Rep. Scott, any other comments? Rep. Probst.
I believe Vermont has no eviction process from November through February. I think that's built in, to their laws. So this is actually not even as extreme as other states. So I think my only question is, and I love the bill because, like you said, it's just, you're still going to be evicted, but you're not going to do it when it's, schools aren't even opening on time right now. It's so cold. For areas that don't have a high Section 8, they don't have a lot of housing anyway, you're saying a person that's on Medicaid or SNAP or LIHEAP that rents from a private owner, this applies to all landlords or just Section 8? I was just...
No, this applies to all landlords.
As long as it's the
But
person.
It's correct. So
Okay.
if the tenant is on one of these programs, mind you,
Yep.
this isn't an unheard thing in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, we have this thing where if you don't pay your electric bill and it's in the winter, your electric's not going to get cut off. So this
Right.
this is not an abstract thing. The only thing we're saying is that if you get evicted, you can't be put out if it's an extreme hurricane that day. If the day that your eviction is scheduled, there's a hurricane. If there's a snow outside, it has to be pushed back 24 hours.
Okay, thank you so much for the
Absolutely.
clarification.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Probst. Any other comments from members? Who wants to? Okay. You want to announce it?
All Republicans will be no.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we will do a fast vote. So the bill passes committee 14 to 12. So with that, seeing no other further business, we are adjourned. Thank you.